Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Dana. I'm running a bit behind schedule. My apologies. I'm going to start off with a short intro song. It's called The Scientist and Their Blob. This is about the ocean, and I'll be right back after this song.
The birds washed up, feathers torn, scientists mumble, eyes are worn, shake their heads, say what went wrong, check the numbers, drag it along, they write their books, shake their hands, watch it sink into the sand, call it heat, call it tide, call it anything but the crime. The blob don't burn, the blob don't kill, but the core still burn and the waste still spills. The blob don't kill, the blob don't burn, but the fuel still melts and the tides still turn. The blob don't burn, the blob don't kill, but the fish still starve and the bones lie still. The blob don't kill, the blob don't burn, but the truth stays buried where the dead things fill. 10 years gone, still no sound. Birds don't sing when the food runs out. They print their papers, paint the walls. Never once where the bodies fall. They write their books, shake their hands, watch it sink into the sand. Call it heat, call it tide, call it anything but the crime. They're puzzled, they're stunned, they say they don't know. Oh, what a show, well, what a show. They point to the sky, to the tides and the flow. Where did it go, where did it go? They'll blame the heat, they'll blame the waves, not the course, not the grave. They'll figure it out someday soon, someday soon, someday. The blob don't burn, the blob don't kill, but the core still burn and the waste still spills. The blob don't kill, the blob don't burn, but the fuel still melts and the tides still turn. The blob don't burn, the blob don't kill, but the fish still starve and the bones lie still. The blob don't kill, the blob don't burn, but the truth stays buried where the dead things fill. They'll figure it out someday soon, someday the truth stays buried.
Yeehaw. Just give me 1 second there. All right, here we go. Yeah, here we go. So here's the 3 small modular reactors. The Canadian one is over there. It's a 240-foot skyscraper. It's pretty small. It's 50 feet taller than, it's 60 feet or 50 feet taller than Fukushima's reactors. The Chinese small modular reactor, they just got permission to test it. Just the cap that they're putting up there weighs over 1.1 million pounds. And the academic, the Russia's nuclear power small modular reactor, is about 120 feet tall. We'll see. We'll have a look at it here in a second. And It weighs 40-something million pounds. It would take 1,000 pickup trucks or 1,000 transport trucks to move it somewhere. Sounds pretty small. They're right, it'll fit on a transport truck, but it'll take 1,000 and something. Well, let's get to that too. The Canadian reactor, the boiling water reactor X, and I think I screwed that up. I didn't put X in the Canada. Yeah, I did, yeah. Like, calling these 3 small modular reactors is pretty desperate. It's a blatant lie. It's even, I think, we can describe it as mendacious, which is dishonest, deceitful, deceptive, disingenuous, blah, 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 blah. And I see everybody agrees with me. Hi, everybody. Now, the poll, I was going to put some pretty different stuff there, but... and you can see a spent fuel store, spent nuclear fuel store, and then they got the words abbreviated pool, spent nuclear fuel pool. But they're calling it a store because if the people on land in the port knew they had a fuel pool right alongside of them, pumping right into the environment, they can't contain the emissions from the fuel pool. They just, well, not just, but they changed the fuel on the 2 reactors. So they're calling them small modular reactors to get away with it by saying that they don't put out a lot of power. Well, that's allegedly going to power 300,000 homes. It's going to power allegedly over 1 million homes, or 500,000 homes, over 1 million people. These are not small modular reactors. These are not modular. This is not a modular. It's not small. It's massive. It's, we'll go through the numbers for you. Kind of a little embarrassed here tonight. I was sat here a couple hours ago, and I was pretty tired, so I said, well, set everything up and get that out of the way, and I'll go out and get some supper, do this or do that, right? Keep myself busy till it's showtime. I fell asleep. I laid back and closed my eyes, and I woke up about a half an hour ago in the same chair. I was like, oh, good God. I'm not getting younger. I can feel it sometimes. Let's go to the Chinese small modular reactor. Small massive modular reactor. All you can do is laugh at this, right? Yeah, I woke up and I was like, I haven't opened my eyes yet. My neck was hurting. And I was like, what the? I've never fell asleep. Maybe I did actually once before, but not for that long anyway. And then a half an hour doesn't give you much time in the big scope of telling the story, getting everything ready. So I'm doing that right. I got everything ready. Everything's packaged. And I realized that I didn't have a package on the small modular reactors that I could just go to and abracadabra be able to bring you the documentation, right? China record-breaking nuclear reactor ACEs cold test will power over 500,000 homes and a 2-year refueling cycle period. So in 2 years' time, and the small modular reactor, the fuel was, you can see all over the place today. I can't get anything to work proper. I'll wake up here in a bit. I made a cup of tea. I still haven't touched it yet. That's okay. I'm not getting younger, that's for sure. I shouldn't say that because the nuclear industry will find a way to use that against me. full of piss and vinegar. Let's go. Anyway. So how do you call something, this is massive. And so when you show you these pictures here, it still doesn't do it justice, right? It's still hard to wrap your mind around what you're looking at. And so everything you see with the green there, look up closer. It's not very high quality pictures. Thank you very much, China. The ACP100 small modular nuclear reactor. The AP, it's meant to be 100 megawatts, I believe. ACP100 small modular reactor. Small modular reactor. Really going to scale that up? That's not all the infrastructure that it needs, by the way. So, like, what they were selling us was something that will fit basically on the back of a transport truck. Those big 18-wheeler, fancy, big shot transport trucks, which I actually have a license to drive, but I never pursued it because I wanted the license originally for moving boats, because I was a commercial diver and I was a captain, and so in bad weather I would hire transportation to move the boat maybe 500-600 miles so we can get around the weather rather than get the shit kicked out of here. Sometimes it's just too dangerous to not, and then you had limits on when you could get the job done, so you might have to take the whole operation, the whole fleet sometime, if possible, and put it on transport trucks and move it somewhere. And so I did that, but I didn't have to use a transport truck license to do it. There was always a driver. ACP100, and it's better to let them do it than somebody who's too busy to do anything. Small modular nuclear, anything extra, nuclear reactor. So it's a demonstration project, but this is not a small modular reactor, or anywhere near it, or it can never be. Being developed by China's National Nuclear Corporation, the ACP100 is a 125 megawatt electricity capacity small modular reactor. I wish they stopped saying that because just let me get back to where I was supposed to be actually. So how can you quantify calling that a small modular reactor? Anybody got that figured out? So they say the nuclear reactor can also have 385 megawatt thermal output. Now they're expecting this to power, and they say it there somewhere. Well, they say it in the title, 500,000 homes, which is, each home is not only going to have 2 people into it. So let's say it's only 2 people in each home. And in China, it could be 15 or 20. A 2-year refueling cycle period. So once you take the fuel out of the fuel pool, out of the reactor and put it in the fuel pool, then it's hemorrhaging isotopes because it's still splitting atoms for millions of years. And now you got a real problem on your hands because you have to breathe the same air that's passing past you. Because of its size, because it's a small modular reactor, its size, an ability to deliver power safely and steadily has been called a nuclear power bank. Yeah? You heard, what a power bank is, right? It's about the size of your phone. These people are lunatics, eh? To call that a modular reactor or a small modular, it's going to power over 1 million people. So it's actually a very large capacity, if that's to be believed. It's hard to believe anything the nuclear industry tells you up front. You need a decade to really be able to go into hindsight and find out whether they were honest or not, because they're so deceptive and dishonest, so they're so mendacious. This would be enough to meet the needs of over 1 million people. Or 526,000 households. I know my audio was down last night. and I hope it's, I'm just going to check the comments here in a second. Hopefully it's loud enough for everybody tonight. And what it was is I was playing around. I had the guitar last night, or yesterday evening, and I was working, but I was working on a song anyway, and it wasn't working the way I wanted it to for some reason. I think it wasn't very loud. I actually put it on the end of the video last night for Dana, so Dana can, but it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. So who cares? I might do it again. So 526,000 households is going to be more than 2 people per house. It's going to power 3 million homes, or 3 million people, 4 million people even. This small modular reactor, that's not small, and in 2 years' time, they're going to poison the same people with radioactive fallout from the fuel pools. Right, the fuel pools are in 2 years' time are going to bury those houses in radioactive fallout forever, perpetual fallout. China also claimed that the Linglong 1 nuclear reactor output would be comparable to the reduction of almost 880,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions. So the headline was, what does all these 3 small modular reactors, and don't blame me, blame China for such low quality pictures. Not my fault. I zoomed in because it looked okay on my on the preamble setup that I have, but doesn't look good here at all. And that doesn't even look good, but it looks a bit better. That doesn't happen to me too often. So you can see this whole site is the infrastructure. So the reactor itself can't work without the massive infrastructure. So all 3 reactors have that particular attribute, but all 3 reactors have one thing also in common that I was meant to focus in on. If I didn't fall asleep in this stupid chair here, I'm all busted up now. I'll be okay a little tiny bit. I'm just making fun of myself because I could do better. They're all dependent on external power, including the Russia's reactor. So the Russia's reactor, let me just type it for 1 second, it replaced another reactor, and that reactor was powering 5,000 homes in that little community, and we're going to cover that up, cover that story extensively coming up here, and most of these were, not most of them, but a good percentage of them were workers for the ore mine. And so they have a ore power plant there also. And that's meant to power the nuclear power plant. Have you ever seen a picture of a Tesla going down the highway with a trailer hooked up to it, and on the trailer is a generator, and the generator is plugged into the Tesla? Well, that's what a nuclear power plant does, the same thing. It needs external power. And the plantation of 7.5 million trees. So it's 880,000 tons. Well, but then how much carbon dioxide, for instance, is coming from the gas, oil, and coal plant, whatever ones it is that are permanently assigned to the nuclear power plant? They don't run on their own power, right? And again, here tonight I find that I got whatever song I start the show off with each night gets stuck in my head for the whole show, and I start the background banging away in my head. Down. Just bear with me here. Yeah, that wasn't a very comfortable sleep for me tonight. What was I trying to get for you? I was trying to find... Hang on here. Okay. There we go. So let's talk about that pollution for 1 second. So one massive container ship equals 50 million cars. One of these container ships is the pollution, the carbon dioxide, the pollution is worth 50 million cars. And that the world's 15 biggest ships create more pollution than all the cars in the world. So if you're trying to mitigate pollution, nuclear will never be the solution. First off, because it's perpetually, when they change the fuel, when they take some of that fuel out and put it in the fuel pool, that's what they tell you they're doing, then there's no containment anymore. So it's splitting atoms for millions of homes and businesses directly into your community. You need to wake up. This is egregious. And the plantation of 7.5 million trees, well, most of the trees are dying in North America from the radioactive fallout from Japan. Well, all the bushes too, the plants, because you kill the biota, you kill the bacteria, the fungus in the soil. So now the soil doesn't soak up water anymore, it only soaks up heat. It's tinder dry. And the foliage in the litter doesn't break down anymore. So if you get a lightning strike, you got massive forest fires because the earth is not soaking up water anymore, post-Fukushima. It's going to happen anyway from the nuclear industry, right? It's 80 years of emissions. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. So the story is crazy anyway. This was Stanford University's model, but it was not based upon the actual inventories that were lost. So it's very complicated story. Let's get to that after. The ACP100 small modular nuclear reactor building is designed with a concrete floor thickness of 7.5 meters. Can that be right? It's like 22, 23 feet. Is that their catch basin that they're talking about? It'll catch the melted reactor core? Is that what that was all about? 7.5 meters, and then it has a steel safety shell on top of that. A floor thickness is 7, so the nuclear meltdown will burn through that like butter. The constructions of the ACP100 reactor building have been completed, and the main internal structure is now ready for the introduction of the main equipment and the hoisting of the steel containment top head. This is International Degenerate Agency. This is not a small modular reactor at all, not even a little tiny bit small. Trent Little says his conversation not showing up. Hi, everybody. I was just checking to make sure my audio was loud enough, but I can see it on my meter. I'm pretty sure it's fine. I'm just looking at the comments here because just check the rest of them now. Richard's comments about Palestine and DU have been erased, he said. Looks like Dana done a second attempt there. His comments didn't show up. Dana's second attempt, I don't know if he's talking. If he's happened to him too or something. Beer bums had erased me too. Yeah, the crown is up here. I was trying to turn that off just before we went live. I've done that a few different nights, and that's interesting. I didn't realize the conversation was going on. Hello, everybody. Okay, that's the name of the song, and the song link to the song that we started off with is right here for everybody. I call it. Let's keep going here. I just want to make sure my audio was okay. Control your small modular reactor with a phone app. Sadly, he's probably right. The outer containment dome has been successfully hoisted into place. It weighs 1.1, I done the math here somewhere. It weighs around 1 million pounds or something. Look how tiny it is. I mean, the people. That's clearly a small modular reactor if I ever saw one. That'll fit on a pickup truck. Any day of the week, buddy. You can see the puny little humans down there. Don't worry, that becomes invisible like the top of reactor 3 and 4 once it's built, so then it qualifies as a small modular reactor. Nothing small about it. The only thing small about it is the people that... Why is the nuclear industry full of such weirdos that call this as... Why not just call it a reactor? Why are you going to call it a small modular reactor? Well, you can call it a small reactor, but you can't call it a small modular reactor. You call it small in megawatts, theoretically, but that's deceptive because you're going to power 500,000 homes. So you're going to power, what, 2 or 3 million people? Little tiny people in China. Even from up above, there's the 1.1 million pound hoodie they got for the reactors. There's one fascinating thing about nuclear is the abundance of stupid people, incredible educations, I might add, dysfunctional people, is really special. It's special. These buildings are, this is the 130 feet or something when it's finally built, I think, by the looks of it. It's the world's first commercial small modular reactor. So wait a second, isn't a small modular reactor supposed to be, I don't know, small? Is that crazy talk? That's crazy talk. There's people over in China right now. Son of a bitch. Kick his ass, we catch Dana. There we go. I should have turned the mic down, I'm sure. Everybody could listen to me slurp. Here we go. Let's get through this one. China to start commercial operations of the first small modular nuclear reactor in 2026. They're not even going to do, they're just going to go ahead and hook it up to the grid, apparently. They're not going to build see, normally when you're building a new reactor design, it's got to be built in one of the national laboratories. You're going to have to put it through all of its paces to make sure it doesn't have any catastrophic flaws. Because the nuclear industry can't handle another black eye, and the planet can't handle another nuclear meltdown. The species are not going to survive now. They've destroyed our planet for sure. Yeah. I'm so committed to my job, I'll actually sleep in this chair here if I have to. Okay, I didn't do it on purpose, but that was so weird. I was out cold. I'm glad I didn't break anything because I don't really have a lot of room here, believe it or not. Also known as the ACP100, The reactor was the first small modular reactor being approved by the International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulatory agency. They're just as fake an authority as calling these massive skyscrapers a small modular reactor is madness. I know what you're saying. I know what the Chinese are saying. Dana. Oh, Mr. Dana. These are not, these are tiny cranes. They're miniature. It's only about 5 feet tall, Dana. You blew it up and you're making us look bad. You got me. Small modular reactors are smaller. Well, the Canadian small modular reactor is bigger than any other reactor on the entire planet. It's 240 feet tall, 24 stories. They're going to put half of that underground. Have you ever been in a 12-story underground building before? Do you got any idea how crazy this story actually is? Like, they left themselves, clearly they have a little tiny bit of arrogance for everybody. They're just going to go ahead and call it a small modular reactors, even though they're not small and they're not modular. It can be deployed on ships and aircrafts. Really, you're gonna put that on a ship and an aircraft? The story's about this reactor, and they're saying they can deploy it on ships and aircrafts. Some big ass ships, man. Just bear with me. When I sat here and went to start the show off, I was so dry, dehydrated. I put the song on and I actually guzzled one of them, which you're not supposed to do, and ran out and filled it back up. And now I almost got that guzzled again. I keep going here, though. This is fun. And I realized I didn't put out a video challenging their narrative appropriately with all three of the massive small modular reactors in it. You can put it on ships and aircrafts. Really? Oh, I think what they meant to say was you can put an aircraft or a ship in it. Maybe that's it, is it? Does that sound more realistic? That's what they really meant to say? I think that's what they meant to say, was that it's so small you can put a massive ship or a massive 747 aircraft in it. You won't even see like those little specks down there. I think they're people. Little miniature nuclear scientists. You know, I've been thinking about churn. I was sleeping right here in this chair just a short hour ago. And I woke up and I had an epiphany of churn. And you laugh at this one. I got to tell it to you anyway, because otherwise I'm going to forget it again. And I remember when I woke up, I said, "Oh my geez, that's hilarious." And I meant to write it down. I didn't write it down. So I dreamt I was at churn, and I had a little drilling rig, and I had drilled into churn. And churn has multiple rooms there where they have a portal, which is allegedly they're going to open up one of the 17 dimensions that they acknowledge that they claim exist. And that they had entities actually come through one of those portals and took a scarf back with the entity. And this was, on the other side of that portal is full of demons and all kinds of weird stuff. But this is run by United Nations, so it makes perfect sense as soon as you know that fact. And so I had a small modular nuclear bomb with me. I just threw the small modular part in there to be funny, but I had a small nuclear weapon. And I remember I was hit, there was a bunch of filing cabinets or something there, and I tunneled through the wall, and this is where I came out by the filing cabinets. And there was a bunch of academics and scientists, and they had weird scarves and goggles on their faces, and they were all clapping, and then the portal opened. When the portal opened, I ran over through the nuclear weapon through the portal. And then I woke up, and I was like, oh shit. Checked the clock, and I was like, crap, I got to get ready for the show. I was all smiles, right? I was like, that was the weirdest, that was one of the greatest things I've ever dreamt. So that's what you should be doing when the portal, yeah, go ahead and open that freaking portal up. And then start lobbing nuclear weapons into it, because it's only open for a few seconds. Give it a 1 minute timer or something like that. On ships, so you're going to put, I don't know if they can put that on ships or are they going to put ships in it? Maybe that's how ships are going to drive around. It's going to be full of water, ships will drive around, and then the water will spin, and then that'll get the generator. Is that what they're doing, I wonder? I don't know, because look at the steel they're using, man. Look at it. It's absurd. Only the best material on this massive small modular reactor. Yep, why would they put ships and aircrafts into this equation? That's the stories about this reactor. They could, it's so small. We could put it on ships and aircrafts, ain't it? And ships, and I can't seem to get past the ships and aircraft. Backers say they also save cost because they can build it in factories. Really, you can build this thing in factories. You can build that in factories, can you? Or is having the ships and planes in factories? I think maybe that's what it is. No such small reactors are being built yet in the United States. No such small. Stop calling it small, damn it! You got small brains, maybe. How do you, look at this infrastructure down here, right? It needs all of this. It has to suck in 1 million gallons of water every minute, 4,500 one-ton pickup trucks of water a minute. Still going to need 6,450,000 one-ton pickup trucks every 24 hours of water, which is 1,000 liters in each truck. It's going to need a gas, oil, and coal plant to power the bloody thing. CNNC said that 6,000 workers. What do you need? If it's small, does it really take 6,000 workers? Ling Long, one project site, will stay on their jobs and go all out to ensure that, they can't go anywhere. You took their passports away from them, right? They're refugees from another country. And go all out to ensure that the project is completed on time. You probably got all Tibetan monks down there or something. So the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation said that 6,000 workers. 6,000 workers. I can see that. I can feel that. 6,000 workers. And they're so busy. They're the world's busiest 6,000 workers. And keep going. As World Nuclear Degenerate News. It's going to weigh 550 tons, which is over 1.1 million pounds, right? I think I got it there, actually. There we go. Yeah, 1.1 million pounds. Imagine you're in the factory and you got to flip the lid. You're like, hey, can you guys give me a hand after coffee break? I got to flip the lid. You better bring your crowbars with you because it's a little bit heavy. It keeps breaking all the tables we put it on. $550 tons from, that's just the lid, not the reactor. We'll be capable of producing 1 billion kilowatt hours and enough to meet the needs of 526,000 households. Probably 3-4 million people. And in 2 years' time, when you change the fuel, you're going to poison every one of them all day, every day for the rest of their lives. And they're very impressive small modular massive reactors. Okay, so let's talk about the Ruski's small modular reactors. This is going to be fun too. I felt it was necessary to come out and do a video to address Just bizarre. Small modular reactor routine. Oh, here we go. The academic. Not a complicated. It's a complicated to tell the story. It's complicated to try to tell the story. We do this all the time, so I thought it's better to make a folder and put everything in one folder. Russia's floating nuclear power plant, 1 billion kilowatt hours. Apologies there. I'll get through it. The academic floating nuclear power plant in Russia. Has 2 reactors. They're small reactors, 35 megawatts each. Similar to the ones that they dumped in the Arctic from the Lenin icebreaker. Now they have a nuclear power plant there in that same place that it was time to close it down. You can imagine what kind of freaking nightmare that place was. And it powered a mine and the community, a big ore mine. At the end of 2025. And so the coal plant that's powering that was used to power the academic. Just give me 1 second here. Try it again. I just wanted to copy that file where all these 3 small modular reactors are to, and put them in a place where I can always go find it right away. So this reactor can 100% melt down. All of these reactors can melt down and be catastrophic. This is France's study of radioactive fallout. This was a spike in radiation. The model is based on 30 days when it ends. And you're going to be at day 20 right now of radioactive fallout. Now, they're only acknowledged in cesium-137. And so this is almost day 30 right here you're looking at. The whole planet is covered in cesium-137. Now, this is not a projection. This is a spike of 1 million times normal, and normal being left over from nuclear weapons. But they refuse to acknowledge they're refusing to acknowledge any fuel pool is splitting atoms into the environment. They avoided that conversation for 80 years. And once you take the fuel and put it in a reactor fuel pool, there is no containment. And the containment is not really a full containment, right? They burp radiation all the time. All the pipes are, when water comes near them or touches them, rain or something like that, it becomes tritiated. Every nuclear plant is a Only way to describe it appropriately would be a disease factory. So the model that I just showed you, this model here, that's 26, 27 days or rather of radioactive fallout. That is 1 million to 10 million times per cubic meter of air of cesium-137 covering the entire planet. And what that means, first off, cesium-137 pulses energy 600 feet every second. This is the equivalent, let me do it again. Think of a snowstorm. This is what a fuel pool will do, the same thing. At 30 days, the fuel pool will have the same attributes, where it'll cover the whole planet with radioactive fallout. So China, everybody, first off, they got to lie about the size of the reactors, call them small modular reactor, in an attempt to stay relevant. They need the reactors for the fuel cycle. They need the fuel cycle so they can produce weapons, isotopes for weapons. 35 million watts of electricity to power the small town of Pevek and a mine, an ore processing plant. And so they have an ore mine, they have an ore power plant there too, a coal power plant there too. Floating nuclear power plant completes the first fuel cycle. And we covered this extensively as it was happening originally, the whole tow all the way up there, the rejection from other countries to tow it through their sovereign waters. The State Nuclear Corporation can also tell that work on replacing the uranium fuel element in the second reactor is completed. The first reactor got its elements replaced, its elements. The first reactor got its elements. So they were avoiding talking about and acknowledging the fuel pool in all the stories, and you'll see that in a moment. The first reactor got its elements, its fuel pools, its reactor cores, its fuel rods, replaced in late 2023, early 2024. It takes quite a while to do it. A video posted by Rosatom shows how the spent nuclear fuel elements are loaded out of the reactor and placed inside the storage. Well, they're not picking up the fuel rods. That's completely dishonest to suggest that, because it's an instant death to be within proximity of fuel rods. And the storage rooms, well, you can't put fuel in the storage room. It has to stay underwater the whole time. You can't take it out of water and put it somewhere else, right? It'll melt the organs of everybody. You'll melt the building down. The thing will catch fire immediately. On board the academic, but it's very, like when they put it that way, where they say a video posted shows how the spent fuel elements are loaded out of the reactor, and you see this picture there. That's completely dishonest. Storage room, the storage rooms. These are not storage rooms. And remember when they first done this, we covered it. Remember we were pointing out the irony of them, the fact that they didn't want to say the word fuel pool. They avoided that like the bloody plague. The academic, let's give some background on it. It's 474 feet. 474 feet length. It's 100 feet wide, 98 feet wide, and it's 33 feet tall. Now, so that's a really interesting thing they done there, right? Because the reactor is, it's 440 feet long, it's 100 feet wide, but it's definitely more than 30 feet tall. Let me go back and look at this again. So 21,500 tons is 42 million pounds, which is 1,050 transport trucks to move it. So I don't think that quantifies or qualifies as a small modular reactor. Its height is 33 feet. So the three numbers are side by side, right? The length, the beam, and the height. So why did they put that there? Right, because they understood that if you put the actual height of the reactor, of the facility, because it's not just the reactor, it's the facility to make it work. And so when you look at this, it's clearly higher than 30 feet by, it's probably 4 times higher than that. Uh, so I got better shots that'll give you a better idea of the height of it. 474 feet, I'm sorry. It's almost 500 feet long. It's 170 feet. It's a football and a half field long and a football field wide. Soccer field, football field. So here's my quick estimates when I was looking at it. I was trying to gauge it. And I estimated 70 feet, 60 feet above water, and then 70 feet above the deck. Because we're just trying to get an idea how big. It's not 30 feet. Yes, it's 474 feet. Yes, it's 100 feet wide, but it's not 30 feet high. So that was a very dishonest way, right, to put 33 feet there. That's very dishonest. Oh, it's nuclear, Dana. What do you expect? That's true. You got me. So then I seen this depiction. I was like, perfect. That's what we're looking for. Now, it goes through an absurd amount of water each minute. And then that's put right back into the ocean again. So you see the spent nuclear fuel pool right alongside of the reactor, spent nuclear fuel pool. So that means this bad boy is pumping radiation now permanently from the reactor, or from the barge itself, right? This was originally the original story when it came out was this was a derelict barge that was welded back up and painted and turned into a test reactor. And then they decided, because that's how Russia works, they decided they were just going to put it in business. So the 33 feet, it's probably 30 feet from the ocean to the first set of windows up on the side there. It's almost 20 feet underwater. So add another 20 feet to this equation. So if you add the 20 feet underwater, because that counts. I know some people are like, no, it doesn't count. You can't count it, it's not above water. No, but it does count, right? So you go 20 feet below water, then that's another 20 feet right there. That's 40 feet. Let's say it's 33 feet to the end of the blue, to the water. So now to the first, each window is at least 10 feet, right? Those sections are 10 feet each, so 10, 20, 30, that's 40, and 50, 60, 70. So say 70 feet will be generous and call it 40 feet. And then you can see the upper part. It has 69 crew members, but apparently now it has 300, but that's a rotating shift 3 times a day. So 100 people. Zero emission. Emits no waste products that pollute the environment. Well, the fuel pools, they actually have, they have 2/3 of a reactor core in the spent nuclear fuel. They usually change out 1/3 of the reactor core. In these cases, I think they're changing out almost the whole core, 2/3 of the core. But let's lowball it and say there's 2/3 of the reactor core in the spent nuclear fuel pool. And they in the media releases, when they change the fuel, they call it a storage room, which was meant to lull you into complacency to think that you only got 4 viewers? What the hell? What the hell is going on? I don't see anybody saying anything about... I was down to 3 viewers. So the spent nuclear fuel, let's go back to that. I thought there might have been a problem with the stream, but normally if there's a problem with the stream, you'll see, on my end, you'll see a yellow banner. Because I had 20 on there last time I looked, and it went down to 3. A video posted by Rosatom showed how the spent fuel elements are loaded out of the reactor and placed inside. Now, the fuel that they're putting inside hasn't gone through a chain reaction, so they can actually handle that with special equipment. But this is clearly not. If you take fuel out of the reactor, you die right on the spot instantly. It melts your organs immediately. The storage rooms. I'll go backwards. I'm going to skip past that. The storage rooms on board the Academic. There is no storage rooms. There's fuel pools. Water stored underwater. It has to be underwater the entire time during the transfer too. It will have a crew of about 300 people that they're going to be working in shifts. So these reactors have a combined thermal output of 300 megawatts, which can generate about 70 megawatts of electricity gross. Just 70,000 people. A megawatt theoretically can power 1,000 homes. So there's only 5,500 people there. So it's kind of overkill. But they need it for the big mine, and they need it to power the actual ship itself. The nuclear reactor itself has to be powered by external power. So the coal plant they have there is powering all of that. And when they're doing the refueling, they need that power plant there to run the community and run all the safeties on the ship and everything and run the mine, right? The ship is 472 feet long, features a rotating crew. The second was completed recently from their fuel. Nuclear energy does not produce pollution like dirty fuel-based power. Well, they need external power that's coal, gas, or oil. So, yeah, they do, actually. The Ultimate Fast Fact Guide to Nuclear Energy. This is DO, Department of Energy, United States. Nuclear power plants are designed to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, until they got to change the fuel out, then they got to bring in 1,000 people. And they're going to be shut down for 4, 5, 6 weeks, right? They're going to spend $100 million a year on maintenance on these things. They require less maintenance. No, they require more. But the most maintenance of any power source is nuclear. Every nuclear plant spends minimum of $100 million a year on maintenance. Not counting the fuel change, which is where they're bringing in 1,000 people, and they're going to do around 12, 14,000 maintenances in that 5, 6 weeks. So suggesting that they require less maintenance is absurd. It's just completely dishonest. And can operate for longer stretches before refueling. Like, what are you talking about? Typically, every 1.5 to 5, typically, not necessarily true, it could be a lot less, and certainly won't be a lot more. Every 1.5 to 2 years. They're typically going to change the fuel every 12, 13, 14 months or less. Like, the first changes might go on that schedule, the first fuel change-ups. But once you got all this neutron bombardment and all this embrittlement and everything, that changes the dynamic of the maintenance to be much more labor-intensive and much more regular than that. There are currently 93 disease factories, commercial reactors, helping to power homes and businesses in 28 United States states. So each one of them is going to need 2 gas-on coal plants dedicated to them. So add another almost 200, say 180, 190 gas-on coal plants into these equations because they're dependent on external power, right? Primary reliance, electric grid supplies normal plant auxiliary during the operation. So when they say auxiliaries, they're talking about assisting. The plant doesn't assist itself, by the way. Nuclear plants can't power themselves. They're dependent on external power. on-site backups, in case you lose external power. The power grid goes down for some reason. They're dependent on external power. Most plants have multiple what's a deezer? It's a new word I made up. Don't worry about it. Just being weird. Most plants have multiple diesel generators, battery banks, the stupidest of stupid. And you think they would have a geothermal plant there to have guaranteed power. And sometimes gas turbines to supply critical loads if the grid fails. In other words, the nuclear industry is full of shit. They're not clean, they're not green, they're not too cheap to meter. They're big, stupid disease factories that poisons your community the minute you change it to fuel. These are big, disgusting, massive facilities. There's nothing small about any of them. I just went through all three of them. My neck is hurting. I shouldn't fall asleep in these chairs. I didn't do it on purpose. I guess I might have, though, because I know I didn't. When I closed my eyes, that was on purpose because I was out and had too much fresh air in the yard. They were working on a few odds and ends, just to be put that in my daily activities, right? So that's the show tonight. I'm going to call it quits here because I got a really bad head. I'm not sure. I got a really big head. It's swelled up from everybody beating the shit out of me all the time. The nuclear industry is always gutting me, eh? Always kicking the shit out of me. Always stomping on me. Always censoring the living shit out of me. I don't mind it. I knew that came with the territory. I gotta admit, didn't expect them to be always attacking me and destroying me for over 2 decades now, getting the shit kicked out of me every day. It wears on you a little bit. Is calling Canada's boiling water reactor X, I screwed that up, 300, the Russia's Akademik, the China's Longling ACP100, small modular reactors, mendacious? Is it dishonest and deceptive and deceitful and disingenuous? I think it is. That's my personal opinions. That's it tonight, folks. I'm going to give it up. I'm actually a little sick to my guts here right now. But we made it through the most important. This is one of the most important shows because it shows you the arrogance of this industry. I don't know how to describe that type of contempt that they have for us, that they will come out and claim these massive skyscrapers are somehow small modular reactors. It means they don't have small modular reactors. That's what it means, right? And I'm going to play Small Modular Reactor Hype Train as a closing song tonight. And I got a really bad headache now. It's my fault. I won't fall asleep in the chair no more till next year sometime. You got to realize I'm getting old. I'm not getting younger. And I am working out every morning. I am like just calisthenics. I'm in the sauna. I changed my sauna routine. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday, to when I start sweating, I'll set the timer, because the timer is only good for 60 minutes at a time. I'll set it for 60 minutes. But I have to have some sweat rolling before I do it. And so that's working out really good, because I'm using an infrared sauna, and I'm not putting my feet on the sauna pad. But I'm still sweating crazy, right? Which is good because about 20% of it is toxins or fat, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm doing red light therapy. I was only doing it for 10 or 12 minutes. I've increased it to 25 to 30 minutes now because I've learned a lot more. And that's it. We'll see you on the next show. We're going to keep going right up till Christmas for everybody, just to take. I know a lot of people struggles during Christmas. I'm just going to keep doing shows so that people have an option of something that is familiar to them, is going to help them in the long run through the learning. This is called Small Modular Reactor, SMR Hype Train. You'll find it at the same link I put in the description to the first song. And you'll find links to that music in the bottom of my description, or 3/4 the way down. Have a great night and a great day tomorrow. Hugs for everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Truck parks by your school. Risk, nah, that's the golden rule. A lawsuit here, a bailout there, but hey, don't breathe the Utah air. Hype train, full speed ahead. Choo choo, baby, that's what they said. More reactors, more mistakes. When it derails, guess who pays? A factory built so nice and neat. That's unclear. They called it clean, they called it cheap, till the budget's in too deep. Cost per watt through the roof. We swear it works, but where's the proof? Hype train, watch it roll on your street, out of control. They want it fast, they want it now. Same old scam in a different town.
Accidents don't happen with great frequency. SMRs produce less waste. Spent fuel, just store it on site. Trust us, this time we got it right. Where's the money now? Well, that didn't work.